Dr. Blake Staker here with Westside-Medical. Today we're going to talk about some stretches you can do to increase your explosiveness in sprinting. The common stretches we see people do are you'll see them stretch their quad, kind of like this stretch here, pull the leg back, or have you see them kind of do this hamstring rectus stretch, or kind of put the leg up here and stretch like this. Those are okay, but like when you stretch, you want to stretch with a purpose. And the purpose of stretching is you want to increase your range of motion. Because when you stretch a muscle, your muscles, they contract like this, like the myofibrils, they overlap and they ratchet to contract. But when you stretch, you're actually elongating the tissues, and so it's not as much surface area, and they can't contract as well. And so when you are stretching your quads, like your erectors, your glutes, your hamstrings, it affects like the ability to contract. That's actually going to slow you down. Like your quads, like they're most active, like the initial propulsion phase, like when you're first coming out of the blocks. You have the triple extension, which you extend your hip, your knee, and your ankle. And when you're hitting your top speed, that's where the posterior chain comes into play, like your erectors, the glutes, and the hamstring. It keeps everything stable so you can keep maintaining that top end speed. And so you want those muscles to contract at their best ability. So you don't want to do like those long static stretches. What you want to stretch is you want to stretch the antagonistic muscle to like the propulsion, and so you want to stretch these muscles here on the front. So it's the Iliopsoas as well as the Rectus Femoris. And the reason being is when you step and you're going through that propulsion phase, you want as great a range of motion, as great extension as you can have, because with physics, power equals force times distance. And so the greater distance you can apply that force of your step, the more power you're going to generate. And so first, let's talk about stretching the iliopsoas muscle here. It's the hip flexor. So you want to stretch the antagonistic muscle so you get more propulsion, more push off. So first, you can take a band like this. You can get a Westside barbell. First, get the hip in here, and you're going to just kind of set back. You're going to flex your glute. And the reason why you have this band, like you can stretch your hip flexors here just without the band, but this band adds a really nice dynamic to it. It's going to really increase the tension on the hip capsule through here. So you want to stretch and hold for 2 minutes. And this gets the iliopsoas. You want to do both sides. And now you want to stretch the rectus femoris, and it's the only quad muscle that crosses this hip joint here. So you're going to do a combination of stretching this as well as stretching the quad. And you accomplish this, put something underneath your knee so it doesn't bug your knee. You essentially do the same stretch, but you're getting your foot up on something. So just like this. Right here. So that's going to stretch this hip flexor iliopsoas as well as really getting this rectus femoris. And you're sit just like this. Remember, you have to do it at least 2 minutes to make the tissue change. Anything after 2 minutes is great. So hold it just like that. So now we've covered what you want to stretch. Like, how do you kind of activate the muscle that you want to contract forcefully, like the quads and the posterior chain? Joe DeFranco does a really good job on touching on this. It's called like neural activation. He'll have his athletes like squat before they do any kind of sprints. Like they'll take maybe 70% of their max and do like 3 reps. And the reason why that works is when you do a heavy squat, like your body recruits those motor fibers. The more motor fibers you recruit, the harder you can push. So it's kind of like if you, let's say you bench, or let's say you squat 315 pounds and then you jump down to 225. 225 is going to feel a lot lighter because you're used to doing the 315. So the rationale is when you squat, your body's used to that heavier weight, and then when you go to the sprint, your body feels lighter. You're actually going to be able to push harder to make yourself faster. Hopefully that helps you out. Visit us on westside-medical.com.